Causes of antibiotic resistance, not completing the course. When a person does have a bacterial infection and they are prescribed an antibiotic, but they don't take all the medicine, which bacteria were killed in the first couple of doses? The weakest ones. Which bacteria are left to reproduce? The most resistant. The next time that person is sick, will the antibiotic work as well? No. Ooh. We talked about Z-Paks yesterday, right? Azithromycin. Five doses. It's a 5-day course of antibiotics. That first dose doesn't kill all the bacteria. The second dose doesn't kill all the bacteria. The third dose doesn't kill all the bacteria. Hopefully by the 5th dose, you've killed enough bacteria that your body can take care of the rest. Hopefully at that point, your body can clean up the rest of the infection. Years ago, well, no, we'll get to that. So, link. Yeah, I just posted a classroom assignment. You'll see. The first year I was teaching, and I was being exposed to all you teenage people's stinky germs. Brand new germs that my immune system hadn't seen in all the years since I had been out of high school. And I came to teaching late. I didn't come right back in after high school. So my first couple winters teaching high school, I was sick all the time. I think it was my first winter. I had my first respiratory infection in October. And I thought I could tough it out. I can get over this. I'm just going to drink a lot of orange juice. I'm going to rest as much as possible. I'll be fine. I got a little bit better, but I never really got better. And then it got worse and worse and worse until, in December, I just about ended up in the emergency room because I could barely breathe. So I went on an antibiotic, and it got a little bit better. And I was okay for a few weeks, and then it got worse again. And kind of went through that all winter, getting a little bit better, getting sick again. And it finally took a pulmonologist the following winter to say to me, yeah, that 5-day dose of antibiotics, you're going to be doing 4 of those. I was on azithromycin for 20 days. Because the infection in my lungs had taken such a hold, there were so many of the darn things, that, what could be killed in those first 5 doses wasn't all of them. And of course then, which ones are left, the most resistant, and then it would just get worse and worse. He said, we're going to bomb them back to the Stone Age. Now, it wreaked havoc on all my other body systems. You don't really want to be on an antibiotic for 20 days. It'll make you miserable in more ways than one. My stomach was upset for most of that time. But I got rid of the bacterial infection. I got rid of the infection in my lungs. And if you're an asthmatic, you're prone to all kinds of lung infections because your lungs produce extra mucus to deal with the irritation of the lungs because of the asthma. It's fantastic. Because not everything gets killed in the first dose. Okay, years ago, I saw a possum get hit by a car. You've probably all seen something like this. But it didn't die. Got hit, got injured, and it kind of like pulled itself up and started to struggle off the road. And you know what happened next? Thunk! It got hit by another car. And it still didn't die.
So you finished?
Oh, no, I was not driving. I was watching this whole thing from the sidelines. And it kind of like tried to muster itself up to, and then it got flattened. Took 3 cars to kill the possum. Well, I'm not a big fan of possums, but they are fascinating creatures. Sometimes it takes 3 cars to kill a possum. Sometimes it takes 5 doses of an antibiotic to kill a bacteria. There are some bacteria that can survive that first hit of an antibiotic. They can survive the first wave of the chemical. You have to keep hitting them. Boom, da-da-boom, 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 until they're dead. So did I tell you that I was going to share with you a story about freaking out on a pediatrician?
No, you can tell us.
Okay, I'm going to. So my daughter had pink eye. She was 2. It was about 2 years ago. And I told you this part. It's 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday, and I didn't tell you this. During dinner, I looked over at her, and I said to my husband, does her eye look funny? And he said, I don't know. And by the end of dinner, the whole eye was red and like there was starting to be pus coming out of the corner. And it was all starting to swell shut. And I said, it looks funny now. So off we went to urgent care. Like, 9 whatever on a Saturday night. Because that's where you go at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night when your child's eye is oozing pus. Aren't you glad you have me after lunch and not before? Pity my 5th period class. So anyway, we get to urgent care, and the pediatrician says, yeah, that's a bacterial pink eye. There's viral pink eye, but when it comes on that fast, that's generally bacterial. So we've got antibiotic eye drops. Good. He said, it says 7 days on the label, but if her eye looks better in 2 days, you can just stop. What? Are you out of your mind? Do you know what you're saying? My husband was very embarrassed to be with me at this point. The poor man, he tolerates a lot. Do you understand what you're saying, sir? Are you familiar with the problem of antibiotic resistance? Do you not know that if I only give her the antibiotic for 2 days and then we quit, which bacteria are going to be left in her eye? The resistant ones. I have never been more horrified. He was a little bit insulted. He felt that I was questioning his medical expertise, and he said that he was not the primary contributor to the problem of antibiotic resistance, which he is. But whatever. And I was questioning his medical expertise, but whatever. I went ahead, yes. And I went ahead and gave her the antibiotics for the full 7 days, because when it says 7 days on the label, how long do you take it? For 7 days. When it says 10 doses on the label, how long do you take it? 10 doses. You don't stop taking the antibiotic because you feel better. Because guess who's lurking in the cavities of your lungs? The resistant bacteria. The ones that are the strongest, the ones that are the best able to resist that antibiotic are still hanging out in your eye or in your lungs or wherever your infection is. Now, let's say I stopped giving my daughter the, because you know what? Her eye looked better the next day. 24 hours, her eye looked better.
So you stop?
No! Absolutely not. Josh Hilditch, I have a mission for you. So anyway, if I had stopped giving her the antibiotic on day 1, after her eye looked better, which bacteria are left? The most resistant ones. So when she rubs her sweet, pussy-ish little face across me, and yes, I did end up with pink eye, which bacteria am I getting? The most resistant ones. Thank you, sweetheart. I love you. Ugh. Yeah, I sprayed alcohol on every surface in the house. I still got pink eye. It's not just a risk to you. When you stop taking the course of antibiotics, it's not just a risk to you. It's not just about the bacteria in your body. I can't say this without coughing. When you have that respiratory infection, you stop taking the antibiotic, and the ones that are left are the resistant ones, and then you cough all over something and hand it to your sister? Or you lick the piece of cake in the fridge and put it back and your brother eats it because he doesn't care if you licked it? Or you sneeze on the doorknob and then your parents walk through the door? Guess which? Oh, because, yeah, we're all disgusting. Don't get me wrong, we are all disgusting. Which bacteria are you giving them? The most resistant. Or when you come to school and you cough on your paper and then you hand it to me. Which bacteria are you giving me? The most resistant ones. Increase, and here's the thing. It's not just the bacteria that's infecting your lungs, because remember, they can trade resistance genes among species. Okay, so the first 2 causes of antibiotic resistance in bacteria. Inappropriate dosing with antibiotics, right? Taking an antibiotic for a bacterial or a viral infection, non-bacterial infection, and not finishing the course. Guess what? You all have control over these two things. Now you're probably, I'm going to guess, like 14 to 17 years old, probably mostly 15 and 16. I usually have a few 14-year-olds and a few 17-year-olds. You're probably not taking care of all your own medical stuff yet. You're probably not driving yourself to doctor's appointments and talking with the doctor. You probably have a parent or a guardian or somebody else with you talking. But the next time the doctor says, well, it's probably a viral infection, but we could give you an antibiotic just in case. What do you say? No! Don't you know about the problem of antibiotic resistance? They'll hate you. That's not what you're going to say. Oh, come on, Jaden. Make me proud and record it. Record the doctor's reaction. You can say to the parent or the guardian or whoever who's there with you, hey, Mom, I don't think I should take an antibiotic if they don't think it's bacterial. Can they do a sputum test? People will be so impressed. I think I'd like to spit up a big green loogie in a cup, please. Because if it's not a bacterial infection, you shouldn't be taking an antibiotic. And when you're at home, because you got that respiratory infection and they tested you, they gave you you got the cup full of boogers, and they tested it, and sure enough, it's bacterial. And your antibiotic says 10 doses, but you feel really fine on day 7, you keep taking it. That's totally within your power. And if your parent or the guardian or whoever the adult who's maybe putting stuff out in the morning says, oh, you don't need it anymore, you look fine, you go, no. I don't want any antibiotic-resistant bacteria in my lungs. Thank you very much. So, you have control over those two pieces. Those are in your power. Now, the next reason that we see the development of antibiotic-resistant bacteria is not so much in your power. I don't think that any of you are fully operating a 1,000-head beef cattle ranch here in central Columbiana County. Okay. The next place that we see bacteria getting exposed to antibiotics and developing resistance, and my little friend here, Wilbur. I don't do a very good pig noise. So, I'll read it and then I'll shut up. In the 1950s, scientists discovered that sub-therapeutic doses of antibiotics added to feed improved the growth rate of livestock. In the 1970s, studies in the UK and Japan indicated a risk of antibiotic resistance developing from this practice. Colistin. Have you seen that word before? Colistin, an antibiotic of last resort, has been used as a livestock feed additive. In 2015, a colistin resistance gene, MCR1, was found in pigs in China. Oops. In 2016, an MCR1 gene was found in a human being in Pennsylvania. It was at a VA hospital and it was in a respiratory culture. In 2016, MCR1 genes were found in bacteria in pigs from both South Carolina and Illinois. Oh, well, that's not good. This is one you have a little bit less control over. I'll shut up for a second while you finish copying. In this country, we do less of it than we used to. Like I said, they don't do antibiotics in chicken feed anymore. You can't decide not to add antibiotics to animal feed. None of you are in charge of, global animal feed production that I know of. If you are, let me know. But notice this. I buy hogs off my cousin. I buy cows off either the cousin or a neighbor. Okay, you're going to... Okay, so I don't buy meat from China. I'm real funny about that. If you go to Walmart, Aldi's, Shop and Save, Save a Lot, Sparkle, any of those, they have to label country of origin on meats. They have to label it, and you'll see a little checkbox that says country of origin. And the common ones are U.S. and China. For seafood, you'll sometimes see Thailand. And I buy U.S. produced meats. If I have to buy grocery store meat, if I'm not buying it off my cousin, if I'm not butchering it myself, I buy U.S. meat. Because the Chinese have really excelled at putting antibiotics in livestock feed, and especially in pork. So I'm real careful about that one thing. Now, I can't stop people from putting antibiotics in livestock feed, but I can control what comes into my house. And I don't particularly want the bacteria that may be hanging out on Chinese meat products. That's okay. You can't stop people from putting antibiotics in livestock feed, but you can at the grocery store. And seriously, if you go to the grocery store, look at meats and look for country of origin labeling. You can say to mom or dad, hey, have you heard about antibiotic resistance? Maybe we don't need the Chinese pork over there. Maybe we should go to the slaughterhouse and see what they've got. So, anyway, these genes are present in the U.S. Genes which confer resistance to colistin. Now, the movie that we saw, Hunting the Nightmare Bacteria, was from like 2013. So 2 years later, resistance cropped up to colistin. That was the last antibiotic available for David with the infection in his life. That was it. It was the only antibiotic that would touch that bacteria. There are now genes for resistance to that antibiotic. Okay. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to do a project. You are going to look for news articles on antibiotics in livestock feed and how that impacts antibiotic resistance. Has anybody here done a Google News search before? Okay. I'm going to show you how you do this, how it's different from doing a regular Google search. You're going to love this. Okay, you see this Google search bar? You see the images. You know how to do a Google image search. There's a little button that says news. Oh, it's revolutionary. It's amazing. You would have figured it out on your own. Yeah, I know. It's kind of cool. And it's only going to give you news articles. So the assignment is on Classroom. You're going to go to Google. You're going to do a news article search for articles pertaining to antibiotics in livestock feed and antibiotic resistance. I would recommend that you choose an article that is 5 to 10 paragraphs long. And you're going to have time in class to work on this tomorrow too. You'll have time today and some time tomorrow. There are some what are called long-form news articles that are going to be like 10 pages long. Don't choose one of those. Don't do it. I want you to look for shorter articles. So these might be like little blurbs out of a newspaper or little things out of a magazine. And I can help you if you have a question like, is this a good article? Who here has done CEE annotation with Mrs. McNally? Who here has ever done any annotation? Okay, with Mrs. McNally or somebody else? Mrs. Ash. Okay, so you've done annotations. You're going to take that news article. I'm going to show you what this looks like. You're going to put this into Doceri. Yeah. Doceri? Whatever. So here's my article, and this is all being recorded, Miranda, so you can look at it later. And I got to pull up. I have my guidelines for annotation on Classroom with steps to take. First step is just skimming each paragraph, sort of reading through it, seeing no phones charged over here, period. Period. That's okay. Next time you'll know. The first step is skimming through the paragraph, getting a general idea of what it's saying. The second thing that you want to do is to circle unfamiliar words. So I'm going to go through, I know what permafrost is, but let's say I didn't. I would go through here and go, okay, permafrost, yeah. I'm going to look that up, and I'm going to put definitions in the sidebar. Now, what I did, whoops, that's not it, there we go, was I made myself, Mrs. McNally I know uses sticky notes a lot. I just drew repeated rectangles until I basically had a little blackboard over there. And then I can write any words that I need to define over here, and I can write their definitions. Perm frozen land. Okay. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do unfamiliar vocabulary. Then I'm going to read that paragraph, and I'm going to look for the main idea in the paragraph, and I'm going to underline it. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. One team has identified a surprising way some of these genes are getting into ocean sediments through food for marine fishes. Cool. And then over on the side, I'm going to actually summarize the main idea of the paragraph. So, resistance genes get to ocean in fish food. Huh, okay. And I'm going to do that for each paragraph. Like I said, you only want something that's like 5 to 10 paragraphs long. 5 is better than 10. And you don't want 10 pages. You don't want 10 pages. We'll finish talking about it tomorrow. I want you, when you walk in here tomorrow, to have your article. You don't have to have started the annotation, but I want you to have the article. Have a good day, folks.